Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everyday Alchemist podcast, a podcast where we remind you to tap into the alchemist inside of you because we all are magical beings and we have the power to transmute pain into power, fear into faith. And today I am joined by my two very favorite people, Nishaya Sharma and Nick Sharma, for a very special episode.
Hi everyone. Yes, a wonderful episode today, and as you can kind of see on our backs here, we've got 15, and that really marks our beautiful little daughter Nishaya's birthday. She's turned 15 today, so we just thought what a better way than to share, I guess, our journey. She is 15. God bless, to get 15 wonderful years with Nishaya. She truly is what we live for. But along the way with Nishaya, we've learned so much. I think we've had so many great, amazing lessons that we just wanted to just share with everyone, with our audience, with our families, with our loved ones, with our friends, and certainly hope that some of the things that we want to share also inspires you. We actually decided to make 15, and we left the very last one for Nishaya. So some of you may know, but we'll publicly share it now that Nishaya has actually started to write, and we use a hand over hand kind of, I guess, a therapy in terms of her being able to write, and she's been sharing some amazing content with us, amazing messages, the learning, the understanding of how she perceives the world is pretty amazing. So we left the last one with her, but Nilma and I decided to do 14, so 7 each, and we've learned some amazing things, and we just wanted to really share that with everyone. So Nilma.
Yes, so the first one, and we decided we'll keep this episode very short. Firstly, because Nishaya is here and we don't want to, it's a birthday, we don't want to spend too much time in front of the camera. We actually want to go out and enjoy the day. We've got family coming over to cut her birthday cake soon, and then us three are going to dinner. So each of these topics that we have learned, it honestly could be a topic on its own, like a full episode on its own, but we are just going to stick to it. So it's just very short, maybe 2-3 minutes of explanation. If we kind of go over, we go over. Yeah. But anyway, that is what we're trying to achieve. So my one is, the first one, I'm just going to read it off my phone, is love conquers all. So I have absolutely no doubt that with love, everything is possible. I am talking about the love that Nishaya has given us and the love we have given her. Bless you.
I'm going to put that in as a blooper.
No, we're going to keep this one.
All right, we'll keep it.
Okay, bless you, Baba. I love that. Okay, so the hard days, the long days, the weeks, the months, everything is possible to get through if you have love in your heart. And boy, the love that Nishaya has given us over the last 15 years, it is so hard to put into words because love is not something you can explain into words, but it's a feeling. And if you've ever been in love, multiply that probably times million, times million. Being a parent, you obviously love your child, but when you get a child that is as special as Nishaya, with her high needs and the whole thing that Nishaya comes with, it really teaches you to love in a very different way, and it teaches you love that it's just unconditional. So for me, no matter what we're going through, because we have so much love for Nishaya, we get through it. We've gotten through the last 15 years, and it has been absolutely amazing. And it is the love, that our family and friends share with us as well, that keeps us going. Especially, I want to, like, my parents, my siblings, it does say that it takes a village to raise a child. So I actually acknowledge them as well because of the love they've given us on the hard days when Nick and I have not had strength. They have poured into you, whether they've come and sat with us, they've cooked for us, they've, dropped things off at the hospital, or just, been here holding us, holding Nishaya. It has gotten us through so many days. And for me, that will be my number one, that love conquers all.
Nice.
Thank you.
I think for me, the first one I had was value and perception of everything. I think when I was a kid growing up, I learned that there was a perception about that I had about myself, and then also a perception of what the world was. And as I sort of gotten older, that sort of changed. But in particular, I think once we sort of had Nishaya, everything really changed for me, because I think the way I used to see myself a lot of the time was probably a little bit negative. And I think I sort of didn't really value who I was, I guess. But everything has really changed, since Nisha has come into our lives. It's really important to know who you are in the world. And it's funny because I've learned this through my child, and it's really taught me the value of being able to understand who you are as a parent, who you are turning up as a husband, who you're turning up as an employee or boss or friend, and it really puts everything into perspective. So it's interesting, but that's really having Nisha has really enabled me to really think, and have that kind of context of life.
Love it. Cool. Okay, so my second one is my what I've learned is that my voice matters and that my voice is important, not only for this podcast, but for everyday things. Like I've had to be Nishaya's voice, her advocate from the time she was born. And when we realized that we had to go through a different path, there are times where it's been hard to speak up, but then I quickly learned that if I am not Nishaya's voice, then I'm doing injustice to my child. So I have had to get out of my own way, get out of my own comfort zone, and actually use my voice. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to do that, because it really has helped my child find a place in this world. um, because it's very easy for people to disregard someone that doesn't have a voice or doesn't have an opinion. So I think, going on the back of what you were saying, I think Nishaya has really given me the strength to use my voice and to find my authentic self. And she has helped me to become the person I am today. And, when we started this podcast, if you haven't heard my story, it came in a meditation that I needed to do this. And I was fighting it because I don't like public speaking, and I was kind of fighting it. And I kept telling Nick, "Oh, keep getting this message," and Nick was like, "Just do it, do it, do it. There's a reason why it's coming." And then I spoke to my, through other sessions, healing sessions, coaching sessions. It came through that it came through very strongly that I needed to start this podcast. And I am so glad today that we have started this, because we have been able to share our journey with people and also give hope to other people. We've had so many people connect with us through our journey who were kind of, suffering in silence. And through our podcast, they've been able to come and share their journey. Because even when we named our podcast, I don't think it came from us. I think it was dropped into us from God, because it's called the Everyday Alchemist. So it's for all everyday people. You don't have to be a professional. We all have a story, and we really wanted to give a platform to people to come and share their journey, because every story matters. And it's not because we want to be popular or anything like that. It's because we wanted to share our child's journey, and God showed us the path that through our voice we could bring healing to other people. So for us, it's been so important to do that. So for me, number two is that my voice is so important. And thank you, Nishaya, for allowing me to use my voice.
Amen. My next one was called it Thrive, Not Just Survive. I think it's a pretty strong message, because I feel in today's day and age, a lot of people, like we've got like a economy of people, and I'm talking about in general, that we've become victims of the circumstances. We've become victims of what's happening politically, what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the world, what's happening globally. And it's very easy to become victimized, because a lot of the time, a lot of things are outside of your control. But what I mean by thrive, not just survive, is I remember when we first couple of years, when we had Nishi, it was it was a real tough gig. Like I literally had no sleep and this is the time when I was adjusting to it, like having a pretty cruisy kind of life. I didn't really, like, I was still working hard, but I had no concept of, what it'd be like to be in a special needs, family environment. And I think, I quickly learned through that time. And remember, we didn't have a diagnosis as well for 3 years. So it was just like, I just remember those first 3 years, my mind was just a fuzz. Like, literally had no idea. Some days I turn up at work and I honestly didn't know how I got to work. That's how bad it was. But fast forward that, I think what I learned through that whole process, and like, I hear often people saying, oh, like, how do you guys do it? There's not enough time in the day. Like, when do you sleep? Well, here's my secret recipe. Secret recipe is, if you value your sleep, like if you think you're gonna have 8 hours or 8+ hours a day, and you want to do something great, then really it's gonna become pretty difficult. I've survived honestly on like 4.5, sometimes sort of 5 hours. If I get more than 5 hours, like I get a headache these days because I've like overslept. But that honestly, whether you think it's healthy or not, like I'm still here. I'm doing everything that I am for my family, but it's enabled me to do so much more, and it's enabled me to build what I can financially for my family, and it's been a gift. So what I'm trying to say is that you do have to make sacrifices if you want to have a good life. Like, you can't always just listen to like, I guess some of the gurus are saying, got to do this, you got to do that. There is no one way. Like, there's multiple ways to get there. It will require sacrifice. It will require you to go against the grain. But I guess why I'm sharing this is that, if you want something, you have to give something in return. And I think what's enabled or unlocked a lot of stuff for me financially, to be able to support my family is, you just gotta sacrifice some things, and sleep's one big thing. So it helps you to get to that next level where you don't want to just survive, like you want to thrive. And in order to have that, you got to dig in a bit, but everything's right there. And you're not gonna die because you're not sleeping 8 hours a day.
I like that.
That's true.
Well, there's actually findings coming out now where they're saying you don't need that much sleep anymore. So it's how your body adapts to it, and it is always mind over matter, right?
Yeah.
And you're still here.
Yeah.
um, I reckon you're here stronger and better than ever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so my next one is my faith is greater than my fear. And this is probably one of the affirmations I have used for a long time, and I still use it. If I'm going through something, I will say my faith is greater than my fear, because there was a time where I was letting fear stop me in my path. And when you get into a place where you're fearful and all these negative thoughts start coming one after the other, one after the other, it's very easy to spiral down into a situation where it's very hard to crawl out of. So for me, I know so much, like I have learned so much, and through my, what am I trying to say is that through my fear, I've actually learned a lot as well. So fear is not necessarily a bad thing as well, because through fear we learn a lot. But my greatest joy now is because I know that my faith is greater than my fear, and I don't let it stop me. And faith is like a muscle, like when you go to a gym, you don't start getting muscles straight away. It builds over time. And I think faith is something similar, where it builds over time. Every time you go through something, like an adversity, it teaches you. So when it teaches you, at the end of the day that everything's going to be okay anyway, right? So it's just leaning on that faith to know you're going to be okay. So that's probably my magical mantra, is my faith is greater than my fear, and it just takes me through. So that's mine.
Love that. Actually, my next one was have no fear.
Oh, okay, there we go.
So I think we're on a very similar tangent there in terms of thinking. She's looking at me. Did you have that one as well? Okay.
Good.
Yeah, and I just to kind of reiterate on, have no fear. I think one of the big challenges that a lot of people have is we give way too much importance to what other people think. And I think that's the one thing, if I had to sort of look at the fear element or have no fear, just I really don't give a shit what people think anymore. And it took me a long time to get there. All right. You want to say something? Oh, you don't want me to use bad words? Okay, sorry. I do apologize. Um, yeah, she corrects me every time. But yeah, like I seriously don't really care what other people think. And I think that's given me an element of freedom. And I think when you can get there, like a lot of people say, be authentic, do this, do that, but it's not until you actually do it, and you actually just cut the cord and just don't really care what others think. It's very freeing, I think, and then when you start doing things, it really is got a whole new meaning in life. It could be just anything, but because you've sort of discarded that part of life, life becomes so much more richer. Every experience you have, every interaction you have with your family in particular, I think that really strengthens it. So, if someone's out there that's sort of struggling to make meaning of life, that's the first thing I'd recommend. Just cut the cord. Don't care about what other people think. And it could be people that are really, really close to you. It could be, it could be family. It could be friends. It could be colleagues. It doesn't mean you discard them completely out of your life. But what I mean is that you're not affected by what they think. And I think once you get to that level, it's very, very gratifying. And life honestly does become so much more richer.
Cool. I love that. Okay, so my next one is finding joy in the small milestones and not comparing yourselves to others, because we all are on our own separate journey, and it's very easy through social media especially to get carried away watching other people and going, oh my god, I wish I had that, I wish I had that. I think comparison is really toxic, and a lot of things that get shown on social media, half the stuff is not even true. So for me, it's always been, and Nick and I and Nishaya have always done this from very early on, is to find joy in the smaller things. And, it doesn't have to be material things. Like one of our favorite things to do is, and Nishaya actually, it's funny because she actually also said the same thing in one of her healing sessions, was that she loves it when we sit on the couch and do nothing. If we're just sitting there chatting, or if we're watching TV or watching a movie, but it's as simple as just sitting inside your own home and living life. Some people wait to live life like, oh, I'll pay off the mortgage, or I'll have this amount of money in my bank, or I'll be this age, or I'll wait till the kids leave the house before I start living. No, there's no guarantee for tomorrow. You've got to start living today. Like for me, I try and live in the present moment, even if it's just like, and I've used this example before, like even if it's just pouring a cup of tea into your cup and sipping on that tea. Like we've just recently got our kitchen renovated, which could be an episode on its own, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Or yeah, we don't want to go there because there's been some things that we've gone through, and but you know what? At the end of the day, I've got my kitchen. It's come out amazing. So yeah. So anyway, we don't want to go there, but the kitchen is amazing, and it's just for me lately. It's just been sitting down and enjoying a cup of tea in my kitchen. It doesn't mean you have to pay tons of money to go on holiday and put it up on Facebook so people can see you're traveling the world. I mean, no one really gives a damn, to be honest. At the end of the day, if you want to share photos and stuff, amazing, do it. Like we do it too when we go on holiday, but you can't wait to live for those moments. You got to enjoy your moments now. You got to enjoy the little moments. You got to enjoy the present moment. As simple as pouring a cup of tea and sitting down and sipping on a cup of tea. For me, my greatest joy, and Nick and Nishaya will tell you guys, is sitting in our bedroom at night after putting Nishaya to bed and staring at the stars, staring at the sky. That is my happy place, and it costs me nothing. Sometimes I'll take my laundry basket up there if I've got laundry to do, and I'll just sit there staring out the window. For me, it's about living every day, choosing my happiness. So for me, it is about living in the present moment and enjoying the little things in life, because they, at the end, add up to be the big things. And that's what you will take away, because your soul will be so fulfilled.
This is so Nilma and I did share what we're talking about today. Why I'm saying that is, like, we must be on a very similar vibe here, because I actually had appreciate the little moments.
Oh my God.
So why
Synchronized.
I wrote that. So my little moment, and the reason why I wrote that is, no matter what's happening in the day, like, we all have a billion things that we're doing, for work and life. But the best moment of my day, when I'm at home and I'm not traveling, is coming home straight after Nisha's had her dinner. Is I always get her. We go and sit on the couch in front of the TV. We have this cuddle session, and then I pay attention to her, and it's just daddy daughter time. And often we'll have a bowl of ice cream, or we'll have some kind of a treat, because Nisha's she's a foodie. She loves dessert, and so do I. Oh, Nilma does too now. But we have that little bond, and I think just that moment in time for me, sharing that little gift. It costs, like Nilma just said, it costs you nothing. It just means switching off, having that little bond. It's priceless. Like, money can't buy that. And, like, I made a lot of money. I've made so many career moves. I've done some amazing things from a material point, but comparing that to that little moment of sharing, having the bowl of ice cream, just watching the joy on your child's face, it's no comparison. So if you, again, like, appreciate your kids, carve out that time, because that is the best. Like, you cannot surpass it. You can create Tesla if you want to, but if you can't experience that joy, I think you're missing out.
It's so funny. I'm looking at Nishaya. She was really smiley before we started recording. I think we took a little longer than we should have to set up. And she's
probably
just
waiting
gone a
for her one.
little bit, I think she's a little bit tired. So we're going to try and speed this up. Okay. So for me, the next one was do not let anything or anyone sparkle or water down your story or your journey, because it makes them uncomfortable. Now, I grew up, I think I grew up in a fairy tale, because I actually thought everyone loves us, everyone is a nice person, everyone cares for you. Man, in the last couple of years, I think I probably grew up then, because I came to realize that not everyone actually wants to see you succeed. Not everyone is there for you to applaud, or not everyone actually understands your story, which is okay. The third one is okay, because no one has to understand your story. It shouldn't matter to anyone else, because it's your journey. But it's been very important learning for me lately is that do not let anything or anyone dull your sparkle. Hi, you're smiling. Good job. Don't let anything or anyone dull your sparkle, because only you know how hard you work in your journey and where your intention is coming from. Sometimes your growth or your light will make other people uncomfortable, but that's not your problem. For me, it's always been about I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I am learning so much, because as a people pleaser, you always tend to worry about making sure other people are comfortable and happy, and then you kind of depend your happiness upon that.
Yeah.
So that has been a very big challenge for me, and I usually get told off by Nick, because Nick, even though I do a lot of healing and I do meditation and stuff, I would say Nishaya and Nick are very intuitive naturally. So we will meet someone and I will be like, oh my God, tell them just open my arm and my heart. And Nick will be like, there's something about this person. And I'll be like, no, they're really nice. Oh my God. And probably a month later, 2 months later, something will happen and I will be like, oh my God, you were so right. So recently something happened. I mean, a few things have happened over the past a couple of years. It's made me realize that people are generally not
authentic,
right? Because
genuine.
Not to say that not that everyone is like that. Obviously there's so many nice people, and we are so grateful for the people that we genuinely have in our life, because they are amazing, they care for us and they love us and they're genuine people. But going through life, you will meet certain people that will not actually we've had certain people that, I mean, there's so many stories I could go through, but there's been certain occasions where I've come to realize that I can't depend my happiness or anything upon them, or my, wait for them to upload our story, because they won't. But it doesn't change anything for you. So for me, it's like my number fifth is, do not let anything or anyone dull your sparkle, because your journey is your journey and you don't need anyone's approval.
I'm probably going to put my second and third all together, third and fourth and fifth all together. So be kind to yourself. Be kind and attract. Be kind and you will attract kind. And also, children are our biggest teachers in life. Now, the kindness part, I think, sort of touched on it before, that I don't think I was particularly nice to myself in my earlier years. And as I've gotten older, I sort of, and particularly with Nishaya, I've learned that, we all deserve goodness, happiness, joy, and you have to first be able to receive it internally before you can share it with others. I think I was very good at masking that, and just, like, I like to think of myself as a pretty nice person, and I'm always there, willing and able to, and wanting to help as many people as I can. But often I wouldn't really be kind to myself. So I think, that's been a learning that I've had along the way. But my very last point that I wanted to talk about was children are our biggest teachers, and I remember this very, very clearly. So going back, I think Nishaya would have been very young, like would have been about 2 or 3. So I lost my job through a series of things. And I remember that particular period, I applied for something stupid, like it was like 150 jobs or something. And anyway, couldn't find anything in healthcare. And I went to this interview, and it was for a transport company or something. I can't quite remember, but I just remember what the guy said. Um, he said, mate, parenting is more about you than your kid. And I really, like, I heard it, but I didn't quite understand it. And Nishal was still very small, and we're still going through this whole process of understanding, us at that point. And I remember when he said that to me, I came home and that kept replaying in my head. And I was thinking, what does he mean? And, fast track to where we are today. It is so bang on. Like, having your kid, going through all that, and everyone's different, right? So, whatever you have as your children, as your child, whatever your dynamic is, you will learn about yourself through parenting your child. And I think that's just been an absolute cherry on the top for me, is that everything that I've gone through, she's enabled it for me. So I'm very grateful to my daughter, and obviously to my wife as well. That whole rhetoric of life has actually opened everything up, and yeah, just given me that grace to understand life so much more, just by being a parent.
Nicely done. I'm going to keep mine separate. Or now I have to kind of go back to back because you've actually done it. So my sixth one was flow like water and trust the process, because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So no matter what happens, if you do face some sort of adversity, just flow with it, because nature has a way of auto-correcting things anyway. And there's probably a reason why you need to go through it, because sometimes when we hit a ceiling in our growth, there's something needs to come and push us over to take us to the next step, to elevate it to the next step. So I think, because some people start panicking as soon as something goes wrong in their life, but I think if you look at it from a different lens and go, actually, this is here to upgrade me, take me to the next level. Like if you're playing a video game, right, you have to go through each round, you have your own challenges, then you can elevate to the next round. So if you see life as a game and go, okay, well, this is here and I'm going to learn so much from it, and it's going to push me over and take me to the next level, then you just flow like, I think Bruce Lee said, flow like water. And my sister recently said that to me. She read somewhere where it said just flow like water. I think it was a chapter out of the Bhagavad Gita, and she shared with me, and I agreed with her, and I said exactly that I think that's what we have done consciously, subconsciously through this journey, is just flow with it, not go against the tide. So that's that. And my last one is number 7, is I know without a doubt in my head, what I've learned is that magic is real, miracles are real, affirmations work, manifestations work, they are real, angels are real, your spirit guides are real, they are always with you, and that all of these things that we probably saw in movies growing up in like fairy tales and stuff, your unicorns, your dragons, these are elemental beings. And the amount of magic Nishaya has been able to unlock for Nick and I is just completely out of this world. Our house is magical. The things we get to see and the things that manifest in our house, and our families know about it because we share with them. And one day we will share with everyone, but it's not the right time now. But the things that we get to see is absolute.
It's pretty crazy. Like, I'm a realist. Like, I think of myself as a realist, but I think some of the things that I've seen, particularly with Neil's quite open to a lot of this, and Nishaya, but for me being the observer, seeing some of these things that manifest, is like, yeah, it's like it's it's pretty crazy at the same time as beautiful. Yeah.
And I think I like it that way, that Nick is a bit of a skeptic. We call him a spiritual scientist. So why it helps is because it will validate a lot of things for me. For years I've been telling him something, and now he is witnessing it with his own eyes. These things are manifesting in front of his eyes. So there's no denying it. And for me, I'm like, I held on to my belief in the magic, and it's a lot of hard work to go through. And if it wasn't for Nishaya, this door would have never opened for me. So I have to thank my child and say thank you, Baba, for opening this really magical world up for us. It's not easy, but it is very, very beautiful. When you get to know the actual truth of why we're here and why we're going through things, and it teaches you karma is not what people talk about. But
I agree. I think there's a lot of like the books, the ancient books. I love them. I love the teachings from the Bible. I love teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. I've had the opportunity to have some recitals from the Quran as well. Like just all these ancient texts, Old Testament, the New Testament, the information, the stories, the fables that come out, they're all amazing stuff. And I think every script out there is trying to teach you, like every scripture out there is trying to teach you elements that you can take into your own life. And I think that's what's so beautiful about religion. But it's not until you go through it, and it's not until you have it customized in your own life, that you really start to see the beauty of what life is. And it's far beyond, like, if you're just living your life through a book, you're missing out. Like, you got to experience it. Like, it's great to know, it's great to learn. It's like you're going to school, right? You go to school to learn some skills. Hopefully you learn some skills that you can apply later life. But then once you've got it, you got to go out there, you got to fall on your feet, you got to get punched in the face. And then once you experience it, then you experience the joy. And I think that's exactly what Nilman's trying to say, is there's way more things, way more dimensions of being able to understand it and then to experience it. But you got to open your mind to it. And I think once you do that, it's really next level stuff. So yeah, sorry, and we don't want to take up all this time, but there is one very special last message from Nishaya. So you remember what we spoke about before, that Nishaya is actually writing now, and she has actually with Neil.
Sorry.
Yep, she's actually written a beautiful last message. So we asked her, we said, Baba, Mama and I are going to be sharing on this podcast, things that we've learned, some lessons, and is there one special one that you want to leave with the audience? And it's amazing what she's written, but I'll let you talk about it now.
Okay, so Nishaya obviously has been telepathically communicating with Nick and I for a very long time. If you guys haven't heard the podcast Telepathy Tapes, I highly recommend you go watch it. It is about special needs children that are communicating without verbal words, and our child is a special child, like we keep saying, not because we are biased, but we have seen how magical she really is. So go listen to the tape if you have any doubts of what we're saying. And so
it's like a whole pod.
It's a whole podcast.
Right?
It's a whole podcast. It's called the Telepathy Tapes. So we work with our healer Ariana, and one day she said to me, Nelma, Nishaya is actually ready to write to you guys. And I was like, really? Because all this time we've been telepathically communicating, eyes and all this stuff. And so I said, okay. So I gave her a piece of paper the next day, and I was like, Baba, Ariana said it might take a while, but just try. So I gave her a piece of paper. I sat with her hand over hand, and she started moving the pen.
So we don't like do anything with her hand. You just hold pretty much like her wrist, and then she has then got the reinforcement to be able to use her fingers.
So it's literally just giving a little support, but I hold it very lightly so she's got the freedom to move the pen. So the very first thing she wrote ever before I shared this message was, yeah. May I please ask if I can have KFC tonight? I could have just fallen off my chair, because I was like, what is this? Like, the pen started moving, and she beautifully, in such a proper way, may I please ask if I can have KFC tonight? It was funny in a way, because on Mondays we don't eat meat. It's like our holy day, right? So we are vegetarian. And it happened to be a Monday that she wrote that, and Nick went driving, and he quickly got a KFC, because that was the very first thing we actually got to hear from Nishaya that she wanted. So since then she's been writing, and we've gotten a lot of beautiful things out of her. So today I said to her, Nishaya, Mama and Dad are going to do this. What is your message? So she wrote, and this is Nishaya's message. I want to be careful I don't delete it. And we will put Nick will do like a screenshot.
Yeah.
But she wrote, I love it when people love me. So that was Nisha's message. And I said, so she wrote it, and I got really overwhelmed. Took a photo and I deleted, and I said, Baba, can you just write it again? I want to make sure we get the right message. And she again wrote the same message. I love it when people love me. So I think,
well done, Baba.
That is beautiful. An amazing message of inclusion. That Nishaya is speaking and being the advocate for maybe other children out there, other people that are dealing with special needs or disability in any form. Some disabilities are silent. So just because people can't voice their opinion doesn't mean they're not human beings. They don't have emotions. We've had people walk past Nishaya and not even acknowledge her, and go to the next child and say hello to them. And I've witnessed that. And we've had to take Nishaya away and say, I'm sorry that, you've gone through this. But I think it is such
it's almost like, sometimes people just disregard them or don't see them. And I think, that's where we're coming from.
I wasn't even going to talk about this, but for Nishaya to talk about it and write it, this is how important it is. So next time you see someone in a wheelchair, a child that might look like they're, a little bit,
just say hello. That's it. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to, pull out a magic bloody wand and pull out a magic rat or anything like that. It's just a simple acknowledgement
that I see you. You matter.
That's enough, and I think that's kind of where we're coming from is just experiencing the joy that that has on a child that already has challenges, but for them to be acknowledged, I think that it means 10 times more than what it probably means to most people.
I think we've been very lucky because Nick and I are quite strong, and we will make sure people, if someone now, I think that's where our voice comes in. If someone has done something, we will pull Nishaya aside and talk to her about it. Or if we are comfortable, we will voice our opinion. And most people, when they realize what's happened, they will actually apologize and they will try and correct it. And saying that some people don't, and they override the whole thing because they don't see them as a complete whole person. So I think I'd like
we need more
advocates.
out there, and it's not doesn't just also just have to be the parents. I think as a society we need to get better, and we know firsthand what it's like. So I think that's also changed our perception on seeing people out there. And look, there's in this day and age, there's a lot of people that are just fighting for attention. I think you just open up your social media and you see all these bloody muppets that are just trying to get people on side by creating hateful speech, and there's a lot of that out there too. So be wise about what you consume, and for the general gist of it, most people are good, but you would hate to be brainwashed or tarnished by people that have got other genders because they're just trying to get a vote. And I think, without talking too much about politics, which I don't really want to, um, you know acknowledge people. Most people are good, and I think what we've seen with Nishaya, just a small acknowledgement goes so far.
Because you don't know what damage you might be causing to someone that is sitting there taking it, and if they're not verbally able to express it. So I'm so thankful to Nishaya that she's actually written this, and she's probably she has been now the advocate. She's become the advocate for the silent people that are sitting there, and saying, please, like, just a simple hello can mean the world to them, and that will stay with them forever. So thank you, Nishaya.
Well done, sweetheart.
Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for coming into our lives, and thank you for being able to show what love really is in this world.
And happy 15th birthday.
Happy 15th birthday, Charlie. We love you so much. And I just want to also, before we end, I just want to thank every single person that has been on this journey with us, even if you've been silently observing and watching our posts. If there's ever been a time where you might have done a silent whisper of prayer for Nishaya when we've shared our journey, I really want to show gratitude and say thank you so much, because every good positive vibe has contributed to our child's journey and to our journey. So thank you so much, and please continue to be an advocate out in the world. We need so much love in this world, so wherever you can, just fill people up with love, because we all are suffering in our own little way. You never know how much difference it can make in someone's life.
Amen. And love and peace to everyone.
Thank you, and we will see you again in the next episode.